CIN Browns versus the Vikings. He's playing a 32nd ranked defense against receivers. Running back sit this week is Rashad White versus the Ravens. I don't feel comfortable playing any running back against this Ravens defense and Baker Mayfield. I'm even starting him over Jalen Hurts in my one league. My flex play of the week, I'm going T. Higgins versus the Browns. This Browns team is broken. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Catching a Vibe. I'm your host, Drew. Today I'm doing a solo starts and sits. We got week 7 here, guys, and I'm excited for this week. Let's get right into it. All right. So my first guy, we're starting at the receiver position. I'm going to CIN Browns versus the Vikings. He's playing a 32nd ranked defense against receivers. Amara has been consistent. He hasn't had a big week. He's been at 20 points, but he's been consistent since the week 1 stinker. He had 4 points. The Vikings are better at stopping the run. And I think the game script against the Cowboys was run heavy. The Cowboys had a bunch of injuries on that defensive line. Their star player, Micah Parsons, he was out, so they wanted to run it up on him. And I think Amara is going to get a bunch of targets this week, with it being the in-division game. You kind of want to set the tone, let the division know you're the big dog of the division. Now, my receivers sit, I'm going Deebo Samuel versus the Chiefs. Some stats from the Super Bowl matchup. I think Trent McDuffie's going to guard Deebo again. Deebo had 11 targets, only 3 catches for 33 yards. I think it's going to be a long day for Deebo. I think they're going to try to get Ayuk more involved, and I'm just interested to see how this 49ers offense plays this week. Jordan Mason's questionable, so we'll see how the 49ers offense looks this week. So Deebo, I have to sit you this week. I think McDuffie's elite corner, and I think he's going to have a long day. All right. My running back start, I'm going J.K. Dobbins versus the Cardinals. Gus Edwards is on IR, so I think this gives J.K. more opportunities, and the Cardinals aren't good against the run. They're 29th in carries a game, 29th in rushing yards per game with 150, and running backs are averaging 1.4 touchdowns per game, which ranks 27th. And Harbaugh. Harbaugh wants to run it and run it more and run it down your throats. And I think JK is the perfect running back for that offense. So I like JK versus the Cardinals. My running back sit this week is Rashad White versus the Ravens. I don't feel comfortable playing any running back against this Ravens defense, and especially with an inefficient runner like White. With him battling playing time with Bucky Irvin, there's a lot of fans calling for Bucky to be the starting running back for this Buccaneers offense. And I kind of agree with him. Bucky has been more efficient. He's had longer plays. He's had 20-yard carries. I don't like Rashad White this week. And my QB start, I'm going Baker Mayfield versus the Ravens. He is QB2 so far this year. He's been a top 2 QB in 3 of the 6 games this season. And you think, well, you hate Rashad White versus the Ravens. But the Ravens have actually allowed the second most fantasy points to quarterbacks this year and the most yards to quarterbacks. I think the Ravens are going to take away the run game, so this gives Baker high potential to go off and be a high-scoring QB, maybe a top 2 fantasy quarterback this week again. I'm even starting him over Jalen Hurts in my one league because I like his matchup more than Jalen Hurts. Hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt, but I'm rocking with my guy Baker. My QB sit is Aaron Rodgers versus the Steelers. Listen, getting Devontae Adams is awesome. I think he's definitely going to help the Jets. But I think this Jets offensive line is bad, guys. A-Rod has been sacked 16 times already this year. He's been hit 25 times in the past 2 weeks. Um, the Steelers are second in points per game with 14 and second in touchdowns, 1.5 per game. I don't like him against the Steelers. The Steelers' defense is legit. They'll get after you. TJ Watt, he's coming for that Defensive Player of the Year award. You know, a lot of people think he was robbed of it last year. I'm kind of on the boat. I think he definitely is the best defensive player in the league. I think he's going to set the tone, and Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to struggle again this week versus the Steelers. My tight end start, I'm going Evan Ingram versus the Patriots. Ingram held a 41% target share against the Bears last week, the highest among tight ends. He was T Law's guy, go-to guy last year. And I think again he is his guy this year. And you know, the Jags were in London last week, so they stayed in London. I think they have an advantage against the Patriots. We've seen NFL teams struggle when they go to London, the time zone difference. So I like Ingram. He had 10 targets last week, the highest among tight ends so far. You love to hear that, and I think he'll have a good game against the Patriots. Let's be honest. Doing a starting sits for tight end is very tough. Uh, Another guy I like is Kyle Pitts. I think he's had back-to-back 70-yard plus games. The first time since his rookie year. I think he is a good option this week too. My tight end sit, I'm going Dallas Goedert versus the Giants. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are back, so his target share is going to go down a bunch. The Giants are 8th in scoring against tight ends. Plus, I think this will be a big game for Saquon. He wants to prove to these guys it was a mistake for letting him go, and he's shown that so far. He looks like the best running back in the league. So I gotta say Dallas Goedert. I think this is going to be a big game script for Saquon versus his former team. All right, my flex play of the week. I'm going T. Higgins versus the Browns. This Browns team is broken. Bengals offense is cooking right now. They're averaging 29 points a game in the last 5 games. Delpit, Emerson, Jordan Hicks, and Ronnie Hickman are all questionable to play against the Bengals. So I think the offense is going to find their stride again versus a banged up, demoralized Browns team. I like the Bengals in this one. My don't play this flex is Michael Pittman versus the Dolphins. Anthony Richardson is starting this week. He's missed the last 2 weeks, and I think he'll be rusty. And plus, I just think he sucks. He's good at throwing the ball 80 yards, and he can run, but as a quarterback, I think he's not very good right now in his young career. He could turn that around, but for right now, I don't like it. Michael Pittman, I think he's going to get matched up against Jalen Ramsey. I terrible week for Pittman, I think. So do not play him this week. Then my waiver wire play, I'm going Demario Douglas versus the Jaguars. This guy was you probably picked him up this week. I think he's Drake May's guy. He had 9 targets for 6 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Guys, the Jaguars defense is not good. We saw the Bears offense pick them apart. We saw Keenan Allen turn the clock back and get 2 touchdowns against them. Adunze was getting catches, and DJ Moore has stinker, but he was still getting open when his opportunities were being called for. So I like Demario Douglas. The Patriots were raving about him in the offseason. I think this is where we see Demario Douglas take off and become good flex play or just a good play in general for the rest of the year. And Drake May's not afraid to throw that thing. So I like Demario Douglas, and a deep sleeper QB could be Drake May versus the Jags. We saw Caleb Williams have his best game as a pro. Drake May could have another good game in his second start of his young career. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. And if you're new here, subscribe. Road to 1,000 subscribers. We'll see you next week for week 8. Peace.